It's the new year, which means it's time for new MLB offseason predictions. Welcome back to the first episode of Talking Sports, and I am your host, Andrew Volkman. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode. Hope you have had a great New Year's and you're ready to start the new year off right with the first episode of Talking Sports of 2026. So, in this episode, I will be doing a solo episode and I will be diving deep once again into the MLB offseason. And we've seen some action throughout the first couple months of the MLB offseason. We've seen some pretty big names off the board like Pete Fairbanks. We've also seen Dylan Cease go off the board. We just saw Munetaka Murakami sign with the Chicago White Sox. And we also saw two other pretty big Japanese free agents sign deals as well. And Tatsuya Imai and Kazuma Okamoto signed their deals. Tatsuya Imai signed with the Astros on a 3-year, $54 million contract, which is about $17 million for an AAV. Munetaka Murakami signed a 2-year, $34 million deal with the Chicago White Sox, which is about a $17 million AAV. And earlier today, it was announced by Jeff Passan that Kazuma Okamoto signed a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays, which has some pretty big effects on the free agent market going forward, but I'll get to that in just a little bit. And that contract for Kazuma Okamoto is about a $15 million AAV. Real quick, I do want to break down the contracts for Tatsuya Imai and Kazuma Okamoto. Starting with Tatsuya Imai, the Houston Astros got a really good pick here for Tatsuya Imai. Pretty good deal on Tatsuya Imai. 3 years, $54 million. Again, $17 million for an AAV. That's a very solid contract for a guy that has the potential to develop into a Yoshinobu Yamamoto type of player, maybe a Shohei Ohtani type of pitcher as well. That's really good value, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto is getting paid a lot more money than Tatsuya Imai. And for Tatsuya Imai, being a 3-year deal at the age of 27, he's going to hit the free agent market again when he's 30 years old. And barring any major injuries or major struggles, you can imagine that Tatsuya Imai is going to get a bag somewhere else, potentially with a bigger market team than the Astros. And the Astros have struggled with getting some big contracts out there due to having to still pay off the Jose Abreu contract that they signed him to. They signed Christian Walker to a pretty big contract. They have Yordan Alvarez coming up for a new deal coming very, very soon. They have Jose Altuve on a massive extension as well. And the Astros getting some much-needed rotation help with Tatsuya Imai for that price is a very good deal. And now for Kazuma Okamoto, the second biggest power hitter coming over from Japan, along with Munetaka Murakami, was a much more surer option than Munetaka Murakami. One, Tatsuya Imai has a track record of being a more consistent hitter and overall not having as many injury concerns as Munetaka Murakami. Kazuma Okamoto doesn't have as much raw power as Munetaka Murakami, but does have better contact skills and pretty equal power on some levels, I would say. So for the Blue Jays bringing in Kazuma Okamoto, who also is a better fielder, to come in and play third base, this is a really good deal for the Toronto Blue Jays. And again, only $17 million or $15 million, is cheaper than Munetaka Murakami's contract, and he's going to hit the free agent market when I believe he's going to be 31. So Kazuma Okamoto has the chance as well to get paid once he hits the free agent market once again. I believe that will be in 2028 or 2029. It's one of those 2 years. The math is not mathing for me here right now. But anyway, great move for the Blue Jays, bringing in a really good power bat. And the big kind of repercussions of this deal is that this probably means that Bo Bichette will not be returning to the Toronto Blue Jays next season. And this could greatly impact the market on Bo Bichette next season, or for next season and this MLB offseason. We have no idea where Bo Bichette might land. He has a lot of options, and I believe that many teams will be in on him. He had a bounce back year after a rough 2024 season. He might be moving over to second base for this 2026 season and beyond due to his less than stellar glove that he has not shown to have after showing a really good glove in the minor leagues. So this is a very big deal for not only Bo Bichette and the rest of the league, but for the Blue Jays as well. Getting Kazuma Okamoto, great power hitter, but also a pretty solid fielder over at third base, and a very solid contact hitter as well compared to Munetaka Murakami. Some other notable free agents that have signed in recent weeks that I have not talked about. Michael King, I believe, re-signed with the San Diego Padres. Michael King coming off an injury-riddled season with the Padres, but this gives him a chance to hit the open market again in a couple seasons. And for the Padres, this gives them another reliable starter that is familiar with the organization. So this is a good move all around there. And then besides that, Pete Fairbanks signed with the Miami Marlins after being non-tendered by the Tampa Bay Rays. So he'll become the Marlins' new closer, most likely. And then Tyler Mahle signed a deal with the San Francisco Giants, joining that rotation after having a okay season with the Texas Rangers. And Tyler Mahle used to be actually a pretty high-profile name in the MLB as a starting pitcher, but injuries have kind of derailed him a little bit. But we'll see how he's able to recover. In a pitcher-friendly ballpark like San Francisco, I think he'll bounce back, kind of like Adrian Hauser had a bounce back season this year with Tampa Bay this year. So it'll be very interesting to see how Tyler Mahle does in San Francisco. In the next part of this show, however, I am going to be moving on to my free agent predictions. And before I move on to my updated free agent predictions, I want to circle back to the ones I made at the beginning of the MLB offseason. So we had a couple ones that I did get right. I had not Zach Eflin. I had Kyle Finnegan going back to the Detroit Tigers, which is a good move for me. I also had, I'm pretty sure where I'm looking at some other ones I possibly had as well. I know I got Kyle Schwarber going back to the Phillies correct. I also got, let me see here. I'm looking around here. I'm just looking at all these. I did not get very many right. I'll just say that. I did not get very many right. I did get Josh Naylor and Ha-Sung Kim going back to the Mariners and the Braves respectively right. I did get Brandon Woodruff going back to the Brewers right. My Emilio Pagan going back to the Reds prediction was correct as well. Sun Myung Song, the infielder that the Padres signed, I had him going to the Red Sox, so that one's a little bit on me there. I had Robert Suarez going to the Yankees. He ended up going to the Braves. I had Gleyber Torres going to the Padres as well. He ended up going back to the Tigers on a qualifying offer. I had Devin Williams going to the Blue Jays. He ended up going over to the Mets. I did have Kazuma Okamoto going to the Padres, but he ended up signing with the Blue Jays. I had Ryan O'Hearn going to the Brewers. He ended up going to the Pirates. Probably one of my worst. I had Munetaka Murakami going to the other Sox. I had him going to the Red Sox instead of the White Sox. But in my defense, if you told me that you're predicting Munetaka Murakami was going to sign with the Chicago White Sox of all teams, I wouldn't believe you for a second. But yeah, we continue to move on here. I had Shota Imanaga going to the Phillies. I didn't think he was going to re-sign with the Cubs and take the qualifying offer, but he did take the qualifying offer. He's going to try to bounce back with the Cubs next season. I did have Tatsuya Yamai going to the Cubs. He ended up signing with the Astros, as we know. And besides that, I'm looking at the rest of them. I had Foster Griffin, another guy that's coming over from Japan, going to the Rays. I had Trent Grisham going to the Phillies. I did not have him taking the qualifying offer. I had Pete Fairbanks going to the Padres as well. I had Dylan Cease going to the Mets. That one's kind of a yikes. He ended up going to the Blue Jays. And I had Pete Alonso going back to the Mets as well. He ended up going to the Orioles, of course. And then Edwin Diaz going to the Mets, going back to the Mets. He ended up going to the Dodgers. Like, as you can tell, a lot of my predictions did not land initially, but I am looking forward to my new ones because I do believe I have better ones for this next season. I also had Raisel Iglesias going back to the Braves, which is a correct one. But yeah, I did not have very many correct predictions this year, which is kind of sad. But in my defense, it is my first year doing this, so give me some grace. But yeah, some of these predictions are kind of wild looking back at them. Like Lane Thomas going to the Yankees, like, oh boy. Man, what was I thinking? I Mike Yastrzemski going to the Rays, like, oh boy. I Kirby Yates going to the Mets, like, okay. Anyway, so I'm going to move on into my new predictions. It's going to be very similar to my initial predictions. I'm going to be kind of listing them off, kind of quick, rapid fire. If we get to a major free agent, I will maybe give a stop and give an explanation and my 2 cents on it. But besides that, let's go ahead and get straight into it. So first up, we have Scott Alexander. I have him still going to the Texas Rangers. Another pitcher coming over from Japan, I have Woo Jin An. I have him now going to the Tampa Bay Rays. I still have Tyler Anderson going to the Colorado Rockies. Tim Anderson, I still have going to the Athletics. Miguel Andujar, I have returning to the Cincinnati Reds. I still have Orlando Arcia going to the Minnesota Twins. Sean Armstrong, I have returning to the Texas Rangers still. Here's another big notable change here. Luis Arias, I have now heading over to the Colorado Rockies. And As wild as that may seem, Luis Ariz is definitely not a power hitter. He is a contact bat to ball guy first, but the Rockies really are the only team that have an opening at first base right now. And I know Chris Bryant could play that position next year, but I have no idea if he's going to be healthy. I consider probably him going into a more of a DH role than a first base role. And I don't really see any team looking to get a guy like Luis Arias, who is a contact guy, doesn't hit many home runs, and has not very good defense. I mean, I think the Rockies are going to be the only team that takes like a cheap deal on him. And I don't think Arias is going to be willing to go to a team to be a backup because realistically, that's what I see from Luis Arias going forward. Harrison Bader, I have going over to the Kansas City Royals now. I still have Scott Barlow going to the Detroit Tigers. Austin Barnes, I still have going to the Rays. Chris Bassett, I have signing with the New York Mets to help them give them some pitching help. Jalen Beeks, I have returning to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Here's another big one. Cody Bellinger, I have him not re-signing with the New York Yankees now that Trent Grisham is back in that center field position. The Yankees have to give Jason Dominguez a shot out in left field, and with how crowded that outfield is, and with not very many openings, especially at DH, with Giancarlo Stanton being there, Cody Bellinger, I do not see returning to the New York Yankees. I have him signing with the crosstown rivals. I have him signing in Queens with the New York Mets. The Mets, after trading away Brandon Nimmo, do not have a lot of outfield depth right now. I know they may be looking to start Carson Bench, one of their top prospects next season, but besides that, the Mets don't have a lot of outfield help, and Cody Bellinger would definitely help that. They have Juan Soto, but he's not very good in the field. When you're getting someone like Cody Bellinger, you can play him at all of the outfield positions, and he can give you solid defense. And you can as well play him at first base, a position that the Mets just lost a whole bunch of power in with losing Pete Alonso. So I think the Mets will give Cody Bellinger a bag and will sign him to a pretty big contract to bring him over to Queens away from the crosstown rival New York Mets. John Birdie, I have signing with the Chicago White Sox if anyone's going to give him a contract, which I don't think is very likely. We get to another big free agent here with Bo Bichette, and I was actually surprised to see he was not on my initial free agent predictions, which I don't know how I missed him. I can't explain it, but he wasn't on there, so he is here now. And back then, at the beginning of the offseason, I probably would have predicted Bo Bichette going back to the Toronto Blue Jays. He had spent his entire career there. It seemed like a good fit. Bo Bichette and the Blue Jays. He come up with the team. He came up with Vlad Jr. as well. It seemed like a good pairing, but after the signing of Kazuma Okamoto, there just really isn't any room for Bo Bichette at this point. Second base looks like it's going to be held down by Ernie Clement. Shortstop looks like Andres Jimenez is going to be taking a spot there. Kazuma Okamoto looks like he's going to be slotting in over at third base. In the outfield, which probably wouldn't be a spot that Bo Bichette would play in, but it does have an impact. Left field most likely will be Addison Barger or Anthony Santander. One of those two guys will be in the corners. And then you have most likely Dalton Varsho out in center. And then DH going to George Springer. So at this point, there's just no room for Bo Bichette to be a starter on this team because I expect they're going to start Andres Jimenez with his premium defense. Ernie Clement has premium defense over there as well, even though I'm not sure if Ernie Clement is the same type of hitter that we saw in the postseason. And Kazuma Okamoto, we know, has incredible power. Vlad Jr. is just insane. So there just legitimately is no room for Bo Bichette to be a starter on the Toronto Blue Jays at this point. And also, I've heard rumors that Bo Bichette may be looking to sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers, or the Dodgers may be interested in him, which doesn't really make sense in my opinion because they already have Mookie Betts at shortstop now, which I don't get. And they also have Tommy Edman on the infield. And their outfield is equally as crowded. They have Andy Pajes, they have Teoscar Hernandez, and they have a bunch of other guys in the outfield coming up like Josue DePaula. They have Zaire Hope. And how is this the last thing I mentioned? They have Shohei Ohtani DHing, so it's not like they're going to be able to move Teoscar Hernandez out of the outfield and to DH because there's just legitimately no room for him. So it just doesn't make sense to me to either have Bo Bichette or Kyle Tucker sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers. It just doesn't make sense. But we continue on. We have Cam Boozer, who was a non-tender victim by the Chicago White Sox. I have him signing with the St. Louis Cardinals. Ryan Brazier, I still have signing with the Baltimore Orioles if a team will give him a contract. And then we get to another big one. We have Alex Bregman, who is quite possibly one of the better third basemen out on the open market right now. And at that, or back in November, I had him signing with the San Diego Padres. Since then, they have signed Sun Moon Song, and realistically, there's just no room on the infield for him at this point. You're probably going to have Sun Moon Song probably play third base. You're going to have Xander Bogaerts at shortstop. Second base, I think you're going to possibly have, let me see who their second baseman is real quick. You also have Manny Machado on that infield. Somehow I forgot him. You're going to have Jake Cronenworth probably play first base, and Sun Moon Song will probably go over to play second base. So again, there's just no room for Bo Bichette or for Alex Bregman on that infield. No way. And now that the Boston Red Sox have both lost out on Munetaka Murakami and Kazuma Okamoto and Pete Alonso, I think it's just a logical decision to bring back Alex Bregman to play him over at third base. And you could probably move Marcelo Meyer back to shortstop. You can move Trevor Story to second base, and you could have some kind of platoon situation between you have Tristan Casas and Romy Gonzalez over at first base. It just makes a little bit more sense to do that instead of maybe trying to and you not to mention as well, they also got Wilson Contreras. Like I don't know how I forgot that. So the Red Sox, it just makes a lot of sense to re-sign Alex Bregman and just kind of force someone out like Romy Gonzalez, who realistically isn't as good of a fielder. Like you'd probably want to take Alex Bregman's defense over Romy Gonzalez's defense. Like it's just simple human sense there. But anyway, we continue on. Will Brennan, another non-tender victim, he'll sign with the Texas Rangers. Another outfielder, Alexander Canario, signs with the Colorado Rockies with big power potential. That's a really good move that I think could actually happen and be a really dangerous one. Mark Canha, I have signing with the Washington Nationals. Griffin Canning kind of sucks. He had a really bad Achilles injury. I have him signing with the Royals if any team will give him a chance. Victor Caratini, I have signing with the World Series runner-up Toronto Blue Jays. Dylan Carlson, I still have going to the Houston Astros. Carlos Carrasco, if someone will give him a contract, I think he'll sign with the Guardians. He just can't sign anywhere else at this point. Jose Castillo, relief pitcher, I think will sign with the San Diego Padres. Willie Castro, I have signing with the Colorado Rockies as well. Miguel Castro, I have signing with the San Francisco Giants now. Andrew Chafin, I still have signing with the Braves. Aaron Savali, I have him signing with the San Francisco Giants and joining that rotation. Taylor Clark, another non-tender victim, I have signing with the Boston Red Sox. Mike Clevenger, I have signing with the Houston Astros still. Alex Cobb, I have signing with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Michael Conforto, I have signing with the Los Angeles Angels to help them fill out an outfield spot. Patrick Corbin, I have signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Nestor Cortez, I have signing with the Baltimore Orioles. Denny Coulomb, still signing with the Rangers. Jake Cousins, another non-tender victim, a relief pitcher, I have signing with the New York Mets, joining the crosstown rivals after being with the Yankees last season. Paul DeJong, I still have signing with the Miami Marlins. Anthony DeSclafani, I still have him signing with the Colorado Rockies. Elias Diaz, I have signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Randy Dobnak, the Uber driver, I have signing with the Miami Marlins. Sir Anthony Dominguez will re-sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. CJ Edwards, I have him signing with the Chicago Cubs. Tyro Estrada, I have signing with the Colorado Rockies. Kyle Farmer, I have still have returning to the Cincinnati Reds. Eric Fetty, still have him going to the Colorado Rockies. Wilmer Flores, have him going back to the New York Mets. Ty France, this is an interesting one. I have him instead signing with the Tampa Bay Rays instead of, I believe, the Toronto Blue Jays. Adam Frazier, I have him still signing with the Boston Red Sox. Zach Gallen, this is another interesting one. I will spend a couple minutes on him, or maybe two. Since the Cubs did not sign Tatsui Imai, I have him signing with the Cubs, getting them Zach Gallen, who Craig Counsell has been known to develop pitching very, very well. He did it in Milwaukee. He did it a little bit in Chicago with several relievers. So I think he can do the same with Zach Gallen. So I have Zach Gallen signing with the Chicago Cubs. Luis Garcia, the relief pitcher, I have joining his other Luis Garcia teammate, who's the second baseman for the Nationals. I have Luis Garcia, the reliever, signing with the Nationals. Mitch Garver, I still have signing with the Cincinnati Reds. Lucas Giolito, I still have him signing with the Chicago White Sox. Paul Goldschmidt, I have signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Austin Gomber, still signing with the Twins. John Gray, still signing with the Angels. Chad Green, signing with the Diamondbacks. Randall Grichuk, still signing with the Blue Jays. Garrett Hampson, I have him signing with the Athletics, excuse me. Austin Hayes, I still have him signing with the Cincinnati Reds. Another interesting non-tender candidate, Jonah Heim, I have him signing with the Tampa Bay Rays to give them some catcher help. Liam Hendricks, I still have him signing with the Athletics. Jason Hayward, still signing with the Braves. Reese Hoskins, I still have him signing with the Minnesota Twins. Andy Ibanez, I have signing with the Los Angeles Angels, another non-tender victim. Jose Iglesias, I have going back to the Detroit Tigers, where it all started for him. Pierce Johnson, I have signing with the Houston Astros. Jake Junis signing with the Atlanta Braves. Tommy Canley signing with the Detroit Tigers. Mike Ho Kong, another first baseman coming over from Korea, I have signing with the Miami Marlins. Max Kepler, I have signing with the San Diego Padres. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa will re-sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. John King, another non-tender victim, will sign with the Atlanta Braves. Tyler Kinley, I have instead joined the New York Yankees as opposed to the New York Mets. Michael Kopech, I still have signing with the Milwaukee Brewers. Max Kranick, another non-tender victim of the Mets, I have him signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I already know that if he signs with that team, they're going to turn him into another Will Klein type of pitcher. Derek Law, I have re-signed with the Washington Nationals still. Still have Jose Leclerc signing with the Texas Rangers. DJ LeMahieu, if he'll get a contract, I think it will be with the Colorado Rockies. A nice farewell tour for him. Jonathan Loaisiga still signing with the Texas Rangers. Jorge Lopez still signing with the Boston Red Sox. Michael Lorenzen going back to the Kansas City Royals. Another non-tender victim, Nate Lowe. I have him signing with the Cincinnati Reds. Good power bat for the Reds at first base. Can help compete with Christian Encarnacion Strand. Will inject a lot of power into that Reds lineup, who getting back Miguel Andujar and possibly maybe re-signing, I believe, someone else, getting a lot of power in that lineup with Nate Lowe. I think that will be a really good combo there. Joey Lucchesi, another non-tender victim, signing with the Houston Astros. He's a left-handed pitcher. Nick Madrigal signing with the Seattle Mariners. Starting pitcher German Marquez re-signed with the Rockies. Outfielder Starling Marte, I have going back to the Pittsburgh Pirates, where it all began for him. Nick Martinez, I still have signing with the Boston Red Sox. Jorge Mateo, I have signing with the Chicago White Sox still. Reliever Tim Meza signing with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Andrew McCutchen, there's no way he cannot be a Pittsburgh Pirate at this point. Scott McGough, I have signed with the Chicago Cubs. He's a relief pitcher. Catcher Reese McGuire, I have signing with the Pittsburgh Pirates to help give some competition to Andy Rodriguez and Henry Davis behind the plate. Starting pitcher John Means, sucks he ended up having an Achilles injury and had to go undergo surgery for it. If he does get a contract, I think he'll sign with the Diamondbacks, but at this point, I'm just not sure if he will. Luis Medina, a non-tender victim of the Athletics. I think the Brewers can bring him in and help fix him after several injury-riddled seasons. I think he could be something special that the Brewers could do. MJ Melendez, a non-tender victim of the Kansas City Royals. He's an outfielder. I have signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Starting pitcher Miles Michaelis, I have re-signing with the St. Louis Cardinals. Starting pitcher Wade Miley, I have signing with the Colorado Rockies. Reliever Shelby Miller, former Brewer. Hey, if he'll get a contract after breaking his elbow again, getting surgery on it, hopefully he can. I'm hoping the best for him, but realistically, I don't think he's gonna get another shot. But if he does, I think it will be with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Kobe Milner, I have signing with the Texas Rangers. Yohan Moncada, I have him re-signing with the Los Angeles Angels to be their third baseman. Reliever Rafael Montero, I have signing with the New York Yankees. Starting pitcher Jordan Montgomery, again, another guy that had elbow surgery. Don't know if anybody's going to give him a shot. If they do, I think it'll be the Miami Marlins are the team that give him a shot. Dylan Moore, I have signing with the Milwaukee Brewers still. Reliever Dowie Moretta, another victim of the non-tender cycle. I have signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. Reliever Eli Morgan, I have signing with the Baltimore Orioles. Reliever Noah Murdoch, I have signing with the New York Mets. Catcher Tom Murphy, I have signing with the Seattle Mariners. Reliever Hector Neris, I have signing with the San Francisco Giants. Shortstop Kevin Newman, I have going back to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Designated hitter Marcelo Zuna, I think he just goes back to the Braves. Starting pitcher Chris Paddock, I have signing with the Cincinnati Reds. Starting pitcher Martin Perez, I have re-signing with the Chicago White Sox. Outfielder Tommy Pham, I have him getting a farewell tour with the St. Louis Cardinals. Closing pitcher Evan Phillips, after an injury-riddled season, I think the Mets will pick him up and add him to their bullpen. Starting pitcher Jose Quintana, I have signing with the Chicago White Sox and possibly his final season. JT Realmuto, I mean, at this point, he just can't be anything other than the catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies at this point. Hunter Renfroe, if he gets another contract, I think it will be with the Miami Marlins. Luis Rengifo, I have signing with the Minnesota Twins. Reliever Sean Reynolds, I have signing with the Houston Astros. Reliever Trevor Richards, I have signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Reliever David Robertson, I have going back to the Yankees, where it all began for him. Second baseman Brendan Rodgers, I still have going to the Athletics. Catcher Gary Sanchez, I have returning to the Baltimore Orioles. First baseman Carlos Santana, I have going back to the Kansas City Royals. Another non-tender victim, reliever Taylor Saucedo, I have signed with the Texas Rangers. Reliever Josh Sborz, who ironically pitched for the Texas Rangers, I have signed with the Chicago Cubs. Starting pitcher Max Scherzer, I have signing with the Detroit Tigers and possibly his final season. Paul Sewald, reliever, I have signing with the Houston Astros. Austin Slater, I believe, will sign with the Texas Rangers. Reliever Drew Smith will sign with the Minnesota Twins. First baseman Dominic Smith will also sign with the Miami Marlins. Ryan Stanek will return to the Houston Astros. Starting pitcher Marcus Stroman, I believe, will sign with the Los Angeles Angels. Another big name, it's been a while, Ranger Suarez. This is another interesting one. Spoiler alert, I still don't think he's going to be signing anywhere other than the Chicago Cubs. It's just a bad feeling I have. I feel like he's probably more of a gettable option than Framber Valdez for the Cubs, who are already going to bring in Zach Allen, who might be pretty expensive. But I think Ranger Suarez will probably be a cheaper option than Framber, but he's still just as good as a lefty starting pitcher. So I think the Cubs signed starting pitcher Ranger Suarez. Eugenio Suarez, I have re-signing with the Seattle Mariners. Tomoyuki Sugano, I have signing with the Athletics still. Brent Suter, I have signing with the Cincinnati Reds. Kona Takahashi, another pitcher coming over from Asia, I have signing with the Los Angeles Angels. Outfielder Mike Talkman, the Sockman. I love that nickname. I love Mike Talkman, the Sockman. I love it. I have signing with the Los Angeles Angels, give them a veteran presence out in their outfield. Here's another interesting one. Non-tender victim Michael Tolia, first baseman. I think the Brewers will bring him in and develop him exactly like they did with Andrew Vaughn this past season. Chris Taylor, if he gets another contract in the MLB, I think it will be with the Chicago White Sox. Reliever Lou Trevino will sign with the Miami Marlins. Reliever Justin Topa, I still have going back to the Minnesota Twins. Outfielder Kyle Tucker. This is possibly the biggest fish in this free agent pool. Now, I'm still sticking with my prediction of Tucker to the Philadelphia Phillies, even though there are rumors that the Dodgers may go out and get either him or Bo Bichette to maybe move Mookie Betts or Tommy Edman back out to the outfield. But I think Kyle Tucker with the Phillies makes a lot of sense. It's a good ballpark for him. The Phillies need some outfield help. Kyle Tucker will definitely address that need, and he's probably just out of reach for the New York Yankees at this point or the New York Mets. Next up, Justin Turner. I have going back to the Los Angeles Dodgers to possibly play his final season. Ramon Urias, I have joining his brother Luis Urias, and they will both be signing with the Atlanta Braves. Starting pitcher Jose Urquidy, I have signing with the Cleveland Guardians. Third baseman Gio Urshela, I have signing with the Colorado Rockies. We already mentioned him earlier, but starting pitcher Framber Valdez, I think that Framber Valdez will be an interesting target. I already mentioned that the Cubs will sign Ranger Suarez and Zach Gallen. And at this point, bringing in Framber Valdez as well would be extremely expensive and probably just redundant at this point. So I have Framber Valdez signing with the New York Mets, a team that desperately needs pitching help and will probably be trading a good amount of starting pitchers, guys like David Peterson, Sean Manaea, maybe Kodai Senga. But Framber Valdez will definitely be a guy that can help anchor that rotation, be the ace as a lefty, will be huge for that New York Mets team as they look to get back into the playoffs. Christian Vasquez, I have signing with the Minnesota Twins. Outfielder Alex Verdugo, I have signing with the Kansas City Royals. Starting pitcher Justin Verlander, I have like Max Scherzer going to the Detroit Tigers, where it all started for them, and possibly his final season. Infielder Tyler Wade, I still have signing with the Seattle Mariners. Reliever Justin Wilson, I have signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. Reliever Josh Winkowski, I have signed with the San Diego Padres. Designated hitter Jesse Winker, I have signed with the Kansas City Royals. And somehow Zach Littell fell all the way to the last name, even though he probably should be up higher. But either way, I have Zach Littell also signing with the Kansas City Royals. So there you go. Those are my updated free agent predictions. I know it took a little bit of time, and I did stop to mention the big names, and I did have some changes. I know it may not seem like it, but I definitely did have some names changing and not signing with the same team that I thought originally back in November. Like Framber Valdez, I think I'd sign with the Cubs if the Cubs did not get Ranger Suarez, but now I have him for sure going over to the New York Mets. I know the Orioles are interested in Framber as well, but I really don't see the Orioles spending that type of money. We also got the non-tender victims in here as well, so they add a lot more names to this free agent pool. There's some big ones out there like Evan Phillips, who almost won Reliever of the Year a couple years ago. So yeah, definitely very interesting. But with that, I think that's all I have for this deep dive into the MLB offseason. We'll still wait and see where Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, Bo Bichette, Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, guys like that. We'll see where they sign. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you keep tuning in to Talking Sports. Hope you're ready for another big year in 2026. And I will see you in the next episode that I do on this show or any other show. See you then, guys.